Hello, this is Jason Chance with Tricycle and Run, the multi-sport store in Talbot County, located at 929 South Talbot Street. We can be reached at area code 410-745-2836, and we're going to expand our line of videos to answer some questions that people have. The most common question would be how to change a flat tire. Now, we're doing this series because we have 10 days away from us, part of the Maryland Triathlon Series with Setup Events. We're doing the first ever Maritime International Distance Triathlon. You can find information about that with Setup Events and look under the Maryland Triathlon Series. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take a look at the bikes. This is my bike here. 9 times out of 10 it's always going to be that rear tire. And the rear tire is going to be the one that's going to give you the most issues because you have to deal with this, the gearing. The number one tip that we can give is no matter what happens to give you a flat tire is to actually push your shifters down and try to get into the small chain ring. A small chain ring in the back is going to be the most important part. So we're going to go ahead and do that now. When we push down to the small chain ring, you'll see that it opens up this gap in here. That's actually the gap that we're going to be taking the tire out of. So that's kind of help us out a lot more, especially taking the tire off and putting the tire back on. So we're going to release the quick release on the left side, and you're going to unscrew so that you release the tension on the bike. If you have a road bike or you have a bike that has adjustable calipers in it, you're going to actually, the tire will already be deflated, so you're not going to have to worry about getting past your brakes. Depending on your bike, you're going to want to take a look if you have vertical or horizontal dropouts in the back. This has vertical dropouts. All I did is lift the bike frame away, and you see that the tire came right off. That's because of the decreased tension there in that chain. So now we have our tire. Grabbing a hold of the frame, lifting straight up. Come get a side view. Lifts right out. Okay, the first most important thing is if you have a little collar that's here on your valve, you're going to want to take that little collar off. Otherwise, you're never going to be able to take your tube out of the bike. Now, it's very important. We're showing you here 3 different valve lengths. There are 32 millimeter valve lengths, which is the shortest, the 48 millimeter, which is the middle, and then the 60. It's very important if you have dishing in your wheel like this, which is a much wider valve, that you know and that you ask your local bike shop for the appropriate size valve. If you have a much deeper, sometimes you have to get an actual extension that you can attach. So just for posterity's sake, we're going to actually deflate this. Granted, you would not do that on the side of the road. There are 2 different methods to which to take a tire off. All you're trying to do is open the tire up, get it unseated so that you can pull the tube out. The first method is you're going to take a tire lever, which normally you'd have 2 or 3 with you. You're going to scoop underneath and you're going to try to pull this bead off. You pull that down and the little hook actually hooks onto the back side. You would take the next one and you would come a little bit further down and you would actually hook and you would pull the exact same way and you would work yourself around. You would unhook, and you would go all the way around the tire. The other way, which is, we'll say the cool way to do it, is to take one lever like this, hold on to the tire nice and tight, and pull it towards you, unzipping the tire. Chances are you're going to punch yourself in the face at least one time. We're rotating all the way around, and boom. That's a quick way to do it on the side of the road. Now all I'm doing is I'm actually going after the tube that's inside. I don't want to pull the whole tire off. There's my flat tube. So, yes, I have a flat, but why do I have a flat? Was it something that I did, or did I run over something, or is there something still inside of my tire? What I'm going to do is I'm going to visually look in front of where I'm moving my hand, and then I'm also going to move my hand very gently on the inside. If I find something that pokes me or that I can feel, I have to get that out of there. Otherwise, the next tube that I put in there is going to go flat as well. This tire is good. Now we've got our old tube that's out of our bike. We've got a new tube. Normally we've taken this out of a tube pouch or something like on our bike. I carry it in a bento box in the front. A little mechanics trip that will help you out here is to actually try to get some air inside of your tire. What you'll have to do is unscrew the little valve that's on the end of your Presta. And I tighten this back up. Now the air is stuck in there. What this does is it gives the tire shape. If it's completely flat, it can twist on itself, and when I let go, it would stay twisted. You see there, when I twist on it and then I let go, the tire rights itself. It's very important so that you don't get it flat inside of the tire. So what I'm going to do now, if you can, you want to try to, across from your valve hole, set your tire logo. What that'll do is it'll let you later on find your flat a little bit easier if you ever have another flat. I'm going to take that valve extension, pull my tire out of the way, and I'm going to set my valve extension in there. Once I've done that, all I'm doing is I'm pushing the tube up into the tire. I'm not worrying about getting it set inside the tire rim or anything to that effect. I'm just trying to get it inside of the tire. Okay, putting this thing back together, there are two ways. One of which is to take the spoon side of your tire lever, place it in, and actually start to work the tire all the way around. You'll have to hold on to the tire or you'll wind up chasing the rim or the bead all the way around. The other way is if you have the hand strength to do it, you want to set that bead as much as you can, pushing the tire up, pushing the tube up into the tire as much as you can and working in a circle. You really don't want that tube to get caught on that metal rim because that's how you will wind up getting another flat. So I'm pushing it in. You can actually do this also and then use the lever for the last little part. So you'll see right here I have about a 6-inch gap that I need to close off. One way to do it is take that spoon edge and I can actually wedge that back onto the lip. The other would be take my hand, set it about midway on the knuckles with the tire, right about there, on both sides, and I'm actually going to just take the tire and roll it over top of the rim. Very, very quick, very, very fast way to do it. No levers involved. Okay, so with our tire, remember that we've gone ahead and we've inflated a little bit in order to get the tube inside of the tire. So what we want to do is unscrew that little valve so that we can actually get some new air inside. Again, if we can match up the logo to the valve stem, then we're going to be able to find a flat easier later on if we need to. So this is a 16-gram CO2 cartridge. A 16-gram CO2 cartridge and a CO2 head. You should probably have, it's the quickest way to inflate your tire. If you're racing, you're definitely going to want this. If you're just recreational riding, this is also easier, but a lot of times, sometimes people will have hand pumps. You're going to be there for a while, but you'll still be able to pump up your tire. With this particular one, this is a screw-on, and then I back off in order to get it to engage. There are also spring-loaded heads, and there are trigger cartridges that go on here. So I'm going to take this, and I'm going to screw it on really, really tight. I've taken my valve stem, and I've put it down at the very bottom. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually push this head on there, hold on to the tire, and I'm going to back off just a little bit my CO2 cartridge. CO2 is extremely cold. So once I get it up to a good pressure, I'm going to actually take that off with my hand, and then I'm going to screw this valve back closed. What can sometimes happen if you see air coming out of the valve is you need to get that O-ring that's inside of your tube, you need to get it seated. Because of the CO2, you can see how cold that's got. Can actually freeze that O-ring open temporarily. You can actually see the cold that's here, all of the frost that's actually on the valve. So then from there, if you like, you can take that little collar nut that we had before, screw that back on there, and then we're going to get ready to go and ride. Okay, so now comes the quote-unquote tricky part. Now remember, when we took this wheel off, we set our chain all the way to that far outside to the small caulk. What that did is it created a bigger gap, but it also gave us a start point for when we put our tire back on. Now normally you won't be riding alone. You'll have a friend or someone with you who'll be able to hold your bike for you, but in this case, we're going to actually do it as if you were alone. This is the rear derailleur of your bike. What you want to do is you want to turn that with your hand. When you turn that, it opens up that gap a little bit more. So we've set our wheel inside of our brakes. We're going to actually push down on this little cage in the back, and when we do, we're going to try to set our chain right straight down on that last cog. The last cog in the cassette is where we're going for, what we're shooting for. And you can see we were able to get the chain right back on there. We're going to push the skewers out of the way, and we're going to set the wheel right into the bike. Okay, what we're doing is we're taking this little notch right here, we're pushing that down with our hand to open up our gap. We're setting our chain right on that last cog in the cassette right there. If we do that, the bike should fall right back down into the drops. We hold this piece back on, tighten down, and we're going to close that quick release skewer with our hand so that there's a little dimple left in our hand. That's all the pressure that we're looking for. You don't need to really lock that in. Last thing we're going to do, pick the bike up, spin, and make sure that it's good. That's how we're going to change the tire. The front tire is actually much easier because you don't have to deal with all the gears. The most important things to remember are, one, if you can, switch down to a lower gear, and two, when you're going to put your new tube inside, put a little bit of air inside of it first, and it will save you a lot of headache. This has been Jason with Tri-Cycle and Run, located 929 South Talbot Street, St. Michaels, Maryland. You can check us out on the web at www.tricycleandrun.com, and keep checking back here on our YouTube channel for more videos. Thanks.